Rogue cards. Plague Scientist. It's quite interesting that you always get poisonous if you combo this one, and Rogue has an easy time getting combos out, right? You play this one with Backstab, you play this one with Preparation and another spell. That's not that bad, right? I think it's interesting. It's just that 3 mana 2/3 is not that great. But you buff your Swashbuckler with this one, or your Patches, and you kill something huge. The only thing is that Rogue is currently full of huge removal, right? They have Wildspin Slayer, they have Sap, they have Eviscerate, they have the spell that gives you poisonous on your weapon, all that kind of stuff. But I think this one is going to be a very nice arena card. In arena, it's going to be very nice. In constructed, it's borderline playable. It might be good enough for constructed, for miracle rogues, or more aggressive rogues, right? You want to play this in a more aggressive tag, I would say. Leeching Poison, give your weapon lifesteal. There's no good weapon you can play this on with rogue, right? And it's 2 mana. I think this is highly overpriced. I don't know what exactly they are thinking. Shadowblade, this one looks quite interesting actually. I think most rogues would play this. Because you get a little bit of health. Let's say you get like 2 or 3 health. That's really nice when you swing it the first time. And then you still have a 3/1 weapon equipped afterwards. And we all know that Fiery Voix is an insanely good card. And the stats are alright for this one. Do you want to combine it with your Leeching Poison? No, probably not. But this one is probably good enough to see play in Constructed. Especially because also the Paladin weapon is right now seeing a lot of play. Because there are so many 3 health minions, right? The Vicious Fledgling, all the Mage minions, the Mana Worm, the Medieval Valet, and all that kind of stuff. Most of the Murlocs have 3 health. It's really important these days to have a 3 attack weapon. Runeforge Haunter. During your turn, your weapon doesn't lose durability. That's pretty trash. 4 mana, 5/3. The stats are just too bad, right? Roll the Bones. Draw a card. If it is a death rattle, cast this again. I don't know. Rogue has so much better card draw, right, in the deck. Pretty weak to me. Lillian Voss. Battlecry. Replace spells in your hand with random spells. I've read this card before, and I think it's trash because basically it has Yeti stats, right? Yeti doesn't see play in any sort of deck, so he needs to have a nice upside. And I think you don't want to replace your spells, your nice rogue spells. You don't want to replace them with random spells from your opponent's class. That's just a trashy deal you're getting there. I think it's a strictly worse Yeti. Like, not strictly worse, right? This is a gamble Yeti, where sometimes you can get a really nice gamble. Let's say you get, I don't know, a Flame Strike and a Pyroblast from a mage, and you had 2 preparations in your hand, and the rest of your hand was empty, right? Sometimes you can get really nice stuff out of this one. But most of the time you will get trash spells, and you will throw away your nice rogue spells. This is like, this card offers you the possibility to get rid of your backstab if you don't need it against an opponent who doesn't play minions. But in most cases it will just be a terrible minion. So I don't know what they are thinking with this card here. I think it's like strictly worse Yeti. No, and well, not strictly, but in 90% of the time worse Yeti. And it's a rogue legendary. What? Valir the Hollow, 9 mana. Gain stealth until next turn. 5 armor. So you gain a little bit of sustain. Stealth probably means that the opponent can never kill you next turn unless you are already in fatigue mode, right? So that's the only chance you can die the next turn. So it's basically an ice block for the next turn. And then you get this one here, Death Shadow, passive hero power. During your turn, add a shadow reflection to your hand. So they get this one. Each time you play a card, transform this into a copy of it. So the first card you play on your turn, you get double. So that's also like an ultimate value card. This is really pushing Jade Rogue a lot. That means Jade Rogue is going to be able to create huge Jades. I still think, like, this is too slow for constructed. There's no immediate impact. It's too slow. It's too slow. Okay, let's think again. Malygos. Extra spells for Malygos. Second Malygos. Still, I don't see it. It's too slow. Maybe I'm missing some combo with this one here that you can get, I don't know, or eviscerates. But that's still turn 9. You need to play your eviscerates earlier, right? It's not good enough. Alright, let's go to Shaman. Burlock. I really like the name. I love the name. Freeze an enemy. Yeah, reasonable. Not that terrible. But probably Shaman Murloc, not going to be strong enough. Ice Fishing, draw 2 Murlocs from your deck. So they are really pushing the Shaman Murloc again. But I don't think it's strong enough. Even with the quest and everything, the token Shaman just looks stronger to me, in my opinion. Drakari Defender. So the 4 mana 3/8, discard 2 cards wasn't impactful enough. This basically says skip your next turn. Not really. But Overload 3, if you play this one on 3, you're basically skipping your next turn, right? You cannot even hero power the next turn. But still, the stats look interesting for Token Druid. The stats look really interesting because you can hide a Flametongue Totem behind this one, and this one is going to be a 4/8 then, and really hard to break through for some classes. But since there's so much huge removal around, there's so many poisonous cards. There's a lot of assassination coming from Rogue. There's a lot of removal, like Equality, Brawl. This card is actually, it is okay, but the Overload is just going to destroy it probably for constructed. I think it needed to be Overload 2 to make it worth a consideration. Or Shaman needed some way to buff the attack, a little bit more consistency. Yeah, maybe. Well, you can play that token buff spell. Is that even in standard anymore? I'm not sure. I don't think that this card is going to be super nuts. It might be borderline playable and constructed. Icebreaker, that's probably too weak. It's very hard to freeze an enemy minion consistently. Like the poisonous weapon from Rogue, that spell is much better and that doesn't see play. So this one, you just play Hex over this one, right? You kill any minion you want for 3 mana. And you only need 1 card. So, yeah. Voodoo Hexer. Taunt, freeze any character damaged by this minion. The stats are pretty good. I'm not sure what this card is doing in Shaman. They're kind of pushing the freeze Shaman theme in this expansion. I really don't like it because freeze, in my opinion, belongs to Mage. Well, yeah. Is it going to be a thing? I don't see it yet. We will see. 2 more cards to be revealed. We have to see it in constructed, but for me it doesn't. This card might actually get played, but just for its pure stats and its pure effectiveness, right? And especially this one is another buff. It's another buff for the Stonehill Defender, right? It's really nice. Actually, the 1/1 Taunt Divine Shield Paladin card is also a buff for Stonehill Defender, right? It makes the Stonehill Defender then so much more effective against, here I'm talking about this one, about the Righteous Defender. This one makes the Stonehill Defender for Paladin so much more effective against aggro decks. You get this one and get an extra taunt against your aggro decks. That's just really nice. So this one is also good for Stonehill Defender. It's really nice. And it might be strong enough for some slower control Shaman decks. Maybe for Jade, maybe even for Token Shaman. Because the stat line is just really nice with Flametongue Totem and you're freezing the enemy. That's really nice. Cryostasis, I like the idea to make a card that is really useful to play on the opponent, but also on your own minion. But +3/+3, that's really, really nice, right? So you can play this with a taunt, something like Tar Creeper, right? You play this one on your Tar Creeper, and then the opponent has to attack into it. The problem is, You could argue you can play it, you can attack with that minion on the turn, and then afterwards freeze it, but then it will still be frozen on the next turn. So this +3/+3 is going to be so slow when you freeze your minion for the next turn. I just don't see it. It's tempo-wise, everything is so slow in this expansion. Same goes for Moravi. Whenever another minion is frozen, add a copy of it to your hand. That's just too slow. Way too slow. Like, I think this one is even slower than the... what's the card's name? The other legendary shaman that everybody was so hyped about, buffing +1/+1 to your complete deck. This one is even slower, so I think this one is never going to see play. Thraldestia. Transform your minions into random ones that cost 2 more. It is playable on turn 10 together with Doppelgangster. Yeah, ow. Transform a friendly minion into a random one that costs 1 more, the hero power. The problem is, with this hero power, you're not getting your tokens anymore. So I'm not even sure that this hero power is stronger than the standard shaman hero power, right? And the effect for 5 mana getting 2 evolves and 5 armor is just not that strong. I don't know, I think this card is pretty weak, to be honest. Warlock. Sanguine Reveal. Destroy a friendly minion and gain +2/+2. For Zoo, obviously. Well, Zoo is not being played right now. I don't think that this card is strong enough to push Zoo over the edge. Defile. Deal 1 damage to all minions. If any die, cast this again. I really love the idea of this card. But I don't think it's strong enough to push Handlock into the game. It's too hard to set up, right? There will be like... always, let's say there's a 1 health minion and 2 3 health minions. That's just terrible, right? Then you're just killing the 1 health minion and nothing else. It's too hard to set up, in my opinion. It's kind of nice to set up this with the mage hero power, where you can deal 1 extra damage for 2 mana wherever you want. But Warlock has such a hard time. And then it doesn't really combo well with neither with Hellfire nor with the Mortal Coil. Because you want to draw the card from the Mortal Coil, right? And then if you deal the damage ahead, or if you play the Defile first, you are not getting the extra kill. And if you play the Mortal Coil first, you're not getting the extra card. So that's not really that nice. Unwilling Sacrifice. Choose a friendly minion, destroy it, and a random enemy minion. Destroy a random enemy minion. It's like another tool for Zoo, another big removal, but I think you want your Blast Crystal Potion just more than this one here. Gnomish Vampire. Remove the top card from your opponent's deck. That's just a 2 mana 2/3 basically. That doesn't do anything. In most matchups, you will never finish all 30 cards of your opponent's deck, right? So that means you just remove the card that was at the most of the bottom. Like the bottom most card is usually getting removed. It doesn't matter that's the top card, right? So unless there are cards that allow your opponent, like in Magic, there are cards that allow your opponent to search through your deck and put it on top of your deck, then this card is a really nice counter to that play, because then you just destroy that card. But currently that is not a thing in Hearthstone, so this card is just a 2 mana 2/3. This will not see any play. Treachery. Choose a friendly minion. Your opponent gains control of it. This one is actually really nice, right? You play this one on turn 5 with Doomsayer. You get the guaranteed Frost Nova Doomsayer combo with Treachery, right? So that is really, that's a very nice push for a Control Warlock deck. Is there anything else you want to give? There's probably even some memes here I don't see so far, right? You can maybe play this one with Bomb Squad or something like that. Some minion you want to get rid of, you want to give it to your opponent, right? There's maybe even some crazy combo I just don't realize right now. But they also probably tested against it, right? It shouldn't be that crazy. It's mainly meant for Doomsayer. The only problem is it doesn't work without the Doomsayer, right? If you don't draw the Doomsayer, the treasury is not actually that good. So I also don't think that this card is going to make Handlock viable again. I'm pretty underwhelmed actually by the Warlock cards so far, especially this one, the Blood Queen. Like, Lifesteal has 1 attack for each card that you've discarded this game. There are no other discard mechanics in this expansion, and discarding a card is just so terrible. And you have to remember, the 5 mana 5/6 is usually not seeing any play, right? That's usually not good enough, a 5 mana 5/6 with no effect. And this one will usually be maybe a 5 mana 3/6 with Lifesteal. Ooh. Lifesteal is really good for Warlock though, I have to say. But I don't think that this one is good enough. I might be wrong, but I just don't see it. I also don't get why it's not a demon. It would be this one would be really nice if you could cast all your demon buff spells on it, right? That would be a completely different story, because then you could usually get consistently, let's say, 5 health out of it. Relatively consistently. Usually not always, right? But kinda consistently. But yeah. And you don't really want to run this one in your discard deck at all, because in your discard deck you usually want to empty your hand to not discard stuff, so you want to play cheap cards in your deck. Like, the Doomguard will just usually discard your Blood Queen, right? That's not really good. Or the Lakari Fellhound will also usually just discard your Blood Queen. I think this card is pretty bad. Warrior, Blood Razor. Blood Razor is a really nice card, especially right now. 3 damage to an opponent's minion is usually enough. So even though it looks like a slightly worse Despite, Despite is, in my opinion, still the most ridiculous card, the most impactful card in the game. Because you can play it almost every game. It's good for aggro, it's good for control, it usually clears most of the threats on the board. It sets up for crazy stuff with Grim Patron and all that kind of stuff. So Despite is a completely ridiculous card. And Blood Razor gets very, very close to Despite, so I think this card is really strong. It is enough to kill a Fledgling, because you immediately get the damage, and the whirlwind effects are usually so strong for Warrior, so really watch out for this card. This is going to be very, very strong. Fiery Warrior. Whenever you play a minion, deal 1 damage to it. It's a 1 mana 1/3. That makes it really appealing. The problem is you don't have that many effects for the following turns that are going to make this card crazy. You want to play it kind of with Acolyte of Pain, obviously. Let's see, turn 4, you play this one and play Acolyte of Pain, and you get a card. Yeah, I don't think you can actually live the dream and play this with your Valkyrie Soul Claimer here and stuff. But I wouldn't count it out, because it's a 1 mana 1/3 and they usually see play, right? They are usually very, very strong because it's so effective for the stats. Mountain Fire Armor, 3 mana 4/3. If it's your opponent's turn, gain 6 armor from the Death Rattle. I don't know what's this supposed to do, right? If you're losing, you will not get the armor because the opponent will just ignore that minion. And if you're winning, you don't need the armor, right? This one here is slightly too weak from the stats. It will not work out. It will be okay in Arena. Like, I can really see Fiery Warrior, Valkyrie Soul Claimer, and Blood Razor be very, very nice in Arena with all the warrior cards you have there already. This one with the Taskmaster in the Arena, very, very nice. But for Constructed, it's too weak. Bring It On, gain 10 armor, reduce the cost of minions in your opponent's hand by 2. It's very similar to Dirty Red. This one, I think it's mainly good for late game, right? Similar to Deadman's Hand. I don't think that these 2 cards will actually work in Constructed. I don't think you can build a Fatigue Warrior right now. It's not good enough. You can just build the Taunt Warrior and get your 8 random damage every turn. That should be better than building a Fatigue Warrior. We don't know the legendaries yet. Let's go to the neutral cards. If your deck has no 2-cost cards, give all minions in your deck +1/+1. Trash. Prince Taldaram. If your deck has no 3-cost cards, transform it into a 3/3 copy of a minion. Trash. Prince Valana. If your deck has no 4-cost cards, gain Lifesteal and Taunt. This one might be decent in decks that actually don't have 4-cost cards. So which classes don't have really nice 4-cost cards right now? Maybe Shaman without Jade Lightning. Paladin will certainly not play this. Druid will certainly not play it because of Swipe. Priest might play it. I think Priest doesn't have that much important. Control Priest can play this card, maybe. Like as a 4-mana 4/4 with Lifesteal and Taunt. But it's also not insane, right? 4-mana 4/4 Lifesteal and Taunt. That is... Oh, it's not really like... Whoa! When it actually goes off, right? It's just quite decent. But I don't know. I think it... Yeah. It's okay, this card. I think in some constructed decks, it might kinda fit. If you really don't need 4-cost cards. Alrighty, let's go to the epics. Not strong enough. Corpse take gain Taunt if your deck has a Taunt minion. Repeat for Divine Shield, Lifesteal, and Wind Fury. Yeah, sure. With a new 1-mana Taunt Divine Shield guy for Paladin. Sure. You might fit some some other Divine Shield minions there, some other Taunt minions definitely. Maybe some Lifesteal minion, like this is also really nice with Wicker Flame Burn Bristle, right? This can be decent in some decks. I can see this one being played, especially in Paladin. And other classes. It can also maybe work in Shaman. They also have many of these, right? Meatwagon, Death Rattle, summon a minion from your deck with less attack than this minion. I don't know, the problem is it's hard to kill, right? You want to get your Doomsayer or maybe your validated Doomsayer, but I don't know. It's for the memes, right? Tomb Lurker. Add a random Death Rattle minion that died this game to your hand. Battle Cry. No, the stats are just too weak, and it's random. If you could discover a Death Rattle minion, this would be a completely different story, but you're not discovering, you're adding a random Death Rattle minion. So that means you want to play high-cost Death Rattle minions? No, I don't see it. It's for that, the stats are too weak. Skulking Geist. Destroy all 1-mana cost spells in both hands and decks. This could be a nice counter for control matchups against Jade Druid, obviously. But is it strong enough? You probably just want to play an aggressive deck instead, right? Because in other matchups, it's just going to be a 6-mana 4/6. I don't know. Pretty meme-ish side card. I don't know. Rattling Rascal. 4-mana 2/2. That's terrible. Summon a 5/5 skeleton. That's quite nice. Death Rattle. Summon a 5/5 skeleton for your opponent. Some token deck that can need this. Let's say you play this in Token Shaman or Token Druid. You get a 4-mana 5/5 and a 4-mana 2/2. Like, supposedly. And when the opponent is killing the 2/2 on the next turn, they can actually not attack with the 5/5 yet. Don't count it out. This one might work, especially when you can buff it and when you can silence it, right? Buffing this in Token Druid. That might be good enough. Hide this one behind the Tar Creeper, right? Yeah, play this one together with Tar Creeper. This one might work in Token Druid. Looks like a nice 4-drop for Token Druid. Maybe also Token Shaman. I think it can work. Yeah. The rares. Shallow Gravedigger, Death Rattle, add a random Death Rattle minion to your hand. Yeah... I would have to check all the quality of all the Death Rattle cards out there to consistently rate it. It's just a 3 mana 3/1. Discover would be so much better, right? Too weak for constructed in my opinion. Ticking Abomination, Death Rattle, deal 5 damage to your minions. For control, if this one would also deal, let's say, 2 damage to your opponent's minions, it would be worth considering for control. But since it's basically a 4 mana 5/6 with a disadvantage for your own board, I don't think it's strong enough. Mindbreaker, hero powers are disabled. Yeah. Wow. You don't want to hero power, right? Gain stats equal to your weapons. Phantom Freebooter. Yeah, let's say you have a 3/1 Fiery Voix equipped. This one is going to be 6/4 for 4 mana. Let's say you have a 1/2 Rusty Hook. It's going to be a Yeti with a pirate tag. That might be strong enough for Pirate Warrior. It's not ridiculously broken for Pirate Warrior, but Pirate Warrior actually needs a 4-drop, right? Deck needs a 4-drop, so they are giving the Pirate Warrior actually some more stuff to play with. Well, I would much rather see an aggressive Hunter make the comeback in the meta, right? Because Hunter is never in the meta and Warrior always has the Control Warrior, so I would love to actually see them buffing Hunter specifically and not the Pirate Warrior. Actually, it's not. I don't think that this card is going to buff Pirate Warrior, to be fair. Corpse Raiser. Give a friendly minion Death Rattle, resummon this. Yeah, 5 mana, 3/3. Nope. Common cards. Bone Mare, 7 mana, 5/5. That battle cry is going to be really good. Give a friendly minion +4/+4 and taunt. Okay, shit. That battle cry is really good. So it's going to have immediate impact. It's basically a Houndmaster with +1/+2 on the minion itself and +2/+2 on the buff. And that's for 3 mana more, right? So for 3 mana you get +3/+4 stats. And you get rid of the disadvantage that it has to be a beast. I think this card can see play. But a 7 mana card that might be too expensive for most, like this is intended for mid-range decks, right? It might be too expensive for most, like imagine playing this one in mid-range Paladin. In mid-range Hunter maybe. You can maybe, like this is also good to combo with Evolve, right? You want to evolve this one, right? So it could be also fit in your mid-range Shaman, more or less. But, yeah. Well, we will see. It's very powerful for 7 mana. Snowflipper Penguin, that's a nice buff for the Beast Hunter legendary, for the Zombies. Nothing more. Cobalt Scalebane. 5 mana, 5/5 dragon. At the end of your turn, give another random friendly minion +3 attack. I think this is what most aggressive mid-range decks are looking for. Almost. Right? It's a permanent attack buff, right? So if it sticks on your minion, that's going to be really nice. And 5 mana, 5/5 is quite good. Don't count this one out. This might be good enough for some mid-range decks. Some mid-range Murloc Paladin could maybe play it. It's also another card you can get from your Curator. Some mid-range Hunter could play this one maybe. Would also fit in with Curator then in the deck. Necrotic Geist. Whenever one of your other minions dies, summon a 2/2 ghoul. Yeah, trash. I much rather play the Cult Master for 2 less mana and get -1/-1 and draw a card whenever one of my minions is going to die. You just save so much mana on the Cult Master, and drawing the card is arguably even better than getting a 2/2 ghoul. I suppose you get a 2/2 ghoul when one of your 2/2 ghouls dies, right? But still, it's not good enough. Sunburn Walkir, 5 mana, 5/4. Give adjacent minions +2 health. Nope, not good enough. Because there's this other, there's the Darkscale Healer, right? That's almost as good as this one, and that never sees play anywhere, right? And that's buffing all the minions, and not even 2. And the stats are better, right? 5/4 is better than 5/4 is worse than 4/5. Death Speaker, Battlecry, give a friendly minion immune this turn. 3 mana, 2/4. Would be more interesting with Divine Shield, right? Don't, like, in Arena this card is really nice, right? Is it strong enough for some constructed decks? Probably not. But it's borderline, right? It's almost there. Like with a 3/4 it would be too powerful already, right? But it's a 2/4. I like it because it's almost there, right? Fallen Sun Cleric. Give a friendly minion +1/+1. The Sun Cleric. The 3/2 for 3 mana, give a friendly minion +1/+1. Yeah, it's Sun Cleric, right? Shared Sun Cleric, that's the name. That's a good card, right? In Arena. In Constructed, it's not playable. This one is very comparable. It's gonna be a good Arena card and not playable in Constructed. Let's rate the Death Knights. The best Death Knight. I think actually Rexa is the best Death Knight. Rexa is the best one. Because it kinda evens out the Hunter's weakness to finish off games in the late game. Against Warrior and Priest, maybe. I'm not saying this is a strong card, but I'm saying this is the best Death Knight. In my opinion. The Druid one we don't know yet. Jaina is probably the second best. I just don't see the need for it in Mage. Like, Hunter has the need for the Death Knight, and the Mage doesn't have the need. Because you just freeze your opponents. The Priest card I don't really understand. For very specific purposes, like, this is good against big Druid, right? Or maybe sometimes against Jade Druid? I don't know. Valera. This one is so hard to evaluate. I need to see which cards are good to copy. But still, the immediate impact of this card is so freaking low. You're not getting anything immediately except for a guaranteed other turn. So I need to know if there's anything you can set up with this card that consistently over the next turn you will be able to finish your opponent. I don't think something exists. So I don't think this is a good card. The Thrall. This is just a random Burgle Evolve card, right? I don't think it's good enough. I actually think it's very likely that the Transmute Spirit Hero power is weaker than the original Shaman Hero power. Because you need to have minions. Where are you going to get your minions from? And the Battle Cry, like, Evolve is 1 mana. 1 mana. Obviously, evolving for 2 mana more, like getting 2 evolves, is a lot better, right? That's roughly worth, let's say, 3 or maybe even 4 mana. But then you pay 1 mana to get 5 armor and a questionable hero power. I don't see this one being any good. I think Valera is better or has more potential. I might be missing something here. I don't understand why they would price this one at 9 mana. So there must be something really, really good hidden with this rogue that I'm missing, right? Where else would it be so expensive? Alrighty guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks at this guy's toast.